Manager Daniel Sloan, and on behalf of Trident, I want to say thank you for taking the next step in your educational journey with us. New students often have a lot of questions, and we're here to help. As a way to ease you into our unique student-centered model, we designed this webinar that will cover all the areas vital to success in your chosen program. Let's introduce today's presenters. First, we have Dr. George Delhiera. He joined Trident in 2010 and currently serves as a department chair in University College. During his time at Trident, he has worked closely with students in a variety of roles, including academic advising, financial aid, and academic probation support services. Dr. Delhiera earned a PhD in educational leadership from Trident and has received numerous awards during his time at the university, including honors for communication and collaboration and for student motivation. Next, we have Tasha Kiratin. She currently serves as a Student Success Advisor 3 and part-time faculty member. For the past 10 years, she has helped facilitate initiatives to improve student success, namely as Senior Manager in the Center for Student Success. From assisting with orientation to being a member of the Committee of Academic Standards, her passion is to help students reach their academic dreams. She's a Trident alum graduating from the Master of Arts in Education program and is currently a Doctor of Education student. Joining us during the Q&A session will be Christina Sines, a Student Success Advisor 3 in our Center for Student Success. She has held a number of roles during her 8 years at Trident, including Supervisors of Graduate Advisors. Her dedication to meeting student needs is demonstrated through compassionate, active listening, seeking to understand and striving to act in the best interests of her students. Just a few notes before we begin today's session. Although a portion of the webinar has been pre-recorded, you have the option to ask questions at any time. Look for the control panel on the right-hand side of your screen. Find the questions box, type in your question, hit submit. The FDOC team is behind the scenes right now. Let us know if you have any questions and we'll answer them during the live Q&A session at the end of the presentation. Now I'm going to hand things off to Tasha to talk about student success tips. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Daniel, and welcome everybody. We're so excited to have you here. I love Trident University. I've been a student, I teach, and I wear many different hats, and I work with students very closely. So this is an exciting time for you to start on your educational path. Here's some things that we're going to go over today. We're going to talk about tips for success. I'm going to spend some time really digging in there. It can be a little nerve-wracking when you haven't done school for a while, or it's just a totally new environment. And so we want to make that transition as smooth and comfortable as possible for you. Dr. Delhiera is going to talk about academic writing. That tends to be one of the main concerns with students when they're coming back to school is, how do I write? How do I get back in the mode of formatting my paper? And then we're going to talk about career and networking support. But I would ask everyone to stick around for what I think is one of my favorite parts of the webinar, which is the questions section. We always have great questions, and there's a great student success story at the end, so stay tuned. Now we're going to talk a little bit about just tips for success and moving into your classes for the first time. So whether you've been away for years, maybe this is your first class in college, or maybe you're just transitioning right into a different school, we want you to be confident. Everyone here has a different walk of life, and you all bring different perspectives. Whether you're a stay-at-home parent, maybe you're a veteran or advanced in your career, or maybe like one of my 89-year-old students who came back and got a master's degree, you're in another season of life and you're ready to move forward. So what I mean by that is, know that your perspective will enhance the conversation and your discussions in your class, and you are worthy to be here. So feel free to ask questions. Know that you're supported. We're going to talk about your support team. Get to know your professors and peers. As faculty members on here, we often see students a little nervous to reach out to us, and there's no need for that. We want you to feel connected as a university and between you and the student. You as the student, my apologies. We're going to talk a lot about time management and long-term academic planning, but most importantly, have fun, and this will help with your motivation. This is something, if you ever get stuck or just feel like things are difficult, that's when it's time and a trigger should go off that you need to reach out and connect with us. And we are here and we genuinely want to help. So let's start by talking about time management. And this is something very near and dear to my heart. As Danny Sloan said, I got my master's degree at Trident University. At the time, I was a manager. I had a very extremely premature baby. I was in the office a lot and managing life and work, and I wanted to get my master's degree. So I can relate to trying to balance it all. One of my rules was when I got home from work, I wasn't allowed to sit on the couch. And the reason I say that is because it is so easy, especially these days, to just sit down, watch some TV, or get on your phone and just kind of veg out. By staying off the couch, my rule was then I wasn't allowed to sit on the couch until I went and did my homework. So that kind of comes up to our first point, which is create a time management plan. This might be new for some of you, or some of you might live and die by your planner. And so if this is new for you, think about it this way. You're creating a plan to succeed. When I see students not creating a plan, sometimes I challenge them to do so, and usually they come back and are able to submit more on time. They're able to figure out when they want to go to school for themselves. No one here is telling you to go to school at what time, right? Usually you have a certain amount, whether if it's your CERT program, you have a week, or if it's your master's, associates, or bachelor's, you have 2 weeks to do your module. And so anytime within there, you need to set aside a few nights or maybe mornings, whenever you think best and you have time dedicated to make that your school time. So when your friends call and they miss you because they haven't seen you in a while, you've got schoolwork to do and you want to plan your life around that. Now, Trident is all about flexibility too. And so consider weekends, holidays, birthdays, vacations. We want you to have a life, but you're now fitting this new component into your schedule. And if you don't make time for it, there just won't be time for it. And so I love to see a student with a plan. If that's something you can do today, get out your planner. I use my planner here. I have a wall calendar that you can see here in the back, and I have a digital calendar. So I am all about scheduling your schoolwork. And in the beginning, you may want to go in every day for even 15 minutes just to get a sense of what do you need to accomplish the things and to kind of feel like you're in the rhythm of school. Because I always tell students, in your first few sessions, always take classes back to back so that you can get into a good rhythm. Because once you get out of that rhythm, sometimes it's hard to jump back in. So write down your due dates. The bachelor's and master's and associate's classes are usually due on Sunday nights. So I would always say try and do your first discussion the first week of the module and your peer responses the following week. If you have questions about this, we can talk more in the Q&A section as well. And make adjustments to your schedule, but I think the key is to just have a plan, right? Don't get discouraged when you fall behind. Again, as I mentioned before, that's kind of that trigger. If you're falling behind, you may think, oh, well, I don't want to give excuses, or this is just on me. Trust me, we understand what it's like to be adults and to have things come up. And so we can't help you if we don't know what's going on. And it's not to judge you. It's not to be upset with you. It's to say, hey, that's okay. Look, you still have time to do this, or maybe we can help you with this option. Again, there are options and exceptions if needed. And that's something that there are eligibility requirements, but we want to help you with. So let's talk a little bit about who you're going to be reaching out to in that support group. When you log into your student portal today on the homepage of mytlc.trident.edu, you will see 2 photos, and those are consider that kind of like your support team, right? There's going to be your student finance advisor, and there's going to be your student success advisor. Hey, maybe some of you guys have my face on there. You never know. I do support a lot of students, and I love it. And so in addition to that, right now, if you've just started your program, you are working with your admissions advisor. You've probably built, hopefully you built a good rapport with them. And once they get you all set up in class and started in class, within the first 2 weeks, they're going to transition you over to someone like myself, a student success advisor, who is then going to become your point of contact. I'd always encourage you to save their phone number, note when they email you. I always try to only email my students when it's something important that I want them to know. And so just kind of start to get in the groove of checking your emails every day, or we text and we call. So, and then finally, the other piece to that puzzle is your instructor. Now that will change from session to session, but they don't know what they don't know, right? And so if you're not submitting work and they don't know what's going on with you, they're just assuming maybe they're not interested in class, or you just don't want to leave any room for assumption. So I would always say, even just email your teacher and give them an update about what's going on, or if you have any questions, or maybe there's something that you like about the class. So just know that although you're alone in your room or at your desk doing your work, you're not alone. You are part of this bigger Trident family. And so I really hope that when you make it to our commencement and you watch the video or you attend in person, that you can see that you are a part of a much bigger, huge Trident family. All right, so now we're going to talk about some of our resources. You may be wondering, okay, what is there available for me that's going to help me transition and getting started in school? So in your mytlc.trident.edu portal, there is across the top several options, and one of them on the far right says My Resources. Here you'll see a list of resources available to you. Math and writing tend to be a big thing that students are concerned about, rightfully so. Usually students will be nervous about managing their time and writing and doing the academic piece. If you can manage your time, you've got half of the battle won. Now here's the resources that could help. We do use APA formatting as our general formatting style for the school for papers. Now, it is important to note that that's what we stick with, but it's depending on your assignments, it might not be required. Like in a math class, they might not ask that you do APA. We are in the transition right now. Some classes are using edition 6 and some 7. That is something that is in the process of transitioning. So I'd always ask your teacher, but the key is I would encourage you to start to get to know that. A quick Google search and you will find so much information on that. But don't be worried, don't be overwhelmed by it. Learning is a gradual process, right? And then the Turnitin guide, which is something to kind of help you ensure that your work shows as your original work. The next thing that we're going to talk about is tutoring services. So if you see on this next slide that you are in one of these classes, English 101, Math 101, Statistics and Math 201, Health Statistics, Operations Management, Finance, or any of the TUX courses, there is something, and you'll see on here on the screen, that's called free tutoring. What this is we've partnered with tutor.com. And so if you're like me, you stay up late and you do your homework after the kids are in bed and everything's done. And so you can access a tutor anytime, 24/7. And it usually takes about 1 to 2 minutes to connect, but it's a great option if you're just feeling like, I just need to ask a few questions, or am I doing this right? So I'd encourage you to use that. The next is one of my favorite options or resources, because it's something that I help facilitate. Every day I'm in this orientation helping new students answer questions, have discussions. So if you have not done that as of today, please go in and before you go into your class, complete the online orientation. You'll have access to it for up to 6 months after you start your program, but it's by far the best way to go in and learn the portal, learn the classroom, and how you can navigate, how you can find your teachers, how you can participate in discussion. You can practice submitting work to make sure that you do it correctly. And I'm in there every day answering questions and just making sure people feel comfortable. And usually the feedback is that, oh my gosh, this is what helped me and overcome that hump and feel comfortable. Next, we're going to talk about just kind of first steps to do. I've kind of laid the groundwork now, but go in, log in to your class, do your orientation, and take a tour of your class. There's not much that you can click on that's going to break your class, or there's really not anything that could break it. But sometimes people are a little nervous. Just click around. There's different ways to access different information. And so the more time you spend in the class, the more you're going to feel comfortable. Look over the syllabus, read the assignments, and post your introduction. I always say the introduction is the easiest part. You literally just go in and say, hi, this is me, a little bit about me. And then you get to read about your peers and see that you might have a lot in common or something to learn from the peers in class. Ask questions and develop your time management plan. So that's kind of like the pre-gaming for the class, right? You want to make sure you've read the syllabus, you've read everything, but don't feel overwhelmed. I always felt in college, like the first week of class, that it was a lot of information, but then over time, you get reminders, you check your schedule, and you're doing good. And so develop that plan and check in with your advisor. I always, whenever I see a student that I don't know, I call them. I'm like, I need to know you because we haven't spoken yet, and I truly want to know them and what their goals are. So in summary today, you're going to log in, you're going to complete your orientation, you're going to introduce yourself in your class, and then I would encourage you by midweek, usually by Wednesday, to submit at least your Module 1 discussion post. That's different than your introduction. That's an actual assignment discussion post. Keep in mind, teachers are bound to a rubric. What is a rubric? It is a list of criteria that the student needs to meet for each assignment. And so you can see even in your class, okay, if I submit it on time, I'm going to get like full points, or, you know, they require this many words, so I get this many points. So always look at your rubrics. For all of our assignments, every module is 3 assignments. You're going to have your case assignment, your SLP, and your discussion post. Most classes have 4 modules. I think pretty much all of them. And sometimes your SLP might be a quiz or a paper. Your case assignment typically is a paper or an activity in that regard. Get to know your professors, set up your work area, and just be ready to go. And I would say as soon as you get your first discussion in, try to write a paper maybe by the weekend so that you don't have your case assignment, your SLP the second week of class. Or if you do both of them in the second week, it's no problem. But just make sure that you kind of know each day what you're going to be working on and submitting. And so my last advice is just really reach out, and we don't want you to feel alone. I always tell my students, I am full of the most random information. And so you don't know unless you ask. Maybe you can't find a resource in the library. Maybe you aren't sure how to set up text to get a grade notification. We can help you with that. So that being said, I'm excited for you. Hopefully that this information was helpful. I'm going to turn the time over to Dr. Delhiera, and he's going to discuss one of the topics that I think is really crucial, and get ready to take some good notes. We're going to talk about academic writing. Dr. Delhiera, I turn the time over to you.
On behalf of the faculty, I just want to extend my warmest welcomes to all of you. It's always the most exciting time of the month for us to welcome in a brand new crop of leaders into the Trident family. And so we all look forward to interacting with you, getting to know you, and seeing what great things you accomplish in and out of the classroom. So this section focuses on academic writing. It's one of it's one of the points of concern for some students, especially who have been out for a while. It causes some anxiety, and so the goal of these next couple slides are just to relieve some of that anxiety and give you some direction to build momentum. So Michael mentioned it, but these first couple days, it's going to be really imperative for you to get the wheels going. And so I hope to provide a broad overview of what your faculty will expect of you with writing and to relieve some of that anxiety for you. This first slide is just it's meant to frame your mindset for what the expectations are within academic writing and why and how is it different from what you might be used to within your military experience or business experience. So the three key differences that I want you to think about between business and / military and academic writing are the goals of writing, the process of writing, and voice. And so when you're in the military, so the first one is the goals of writing. If you're going to graduate from an accredited institution, you're expected to have a high degree of written and oral communication skills. And so that is kind of what we're helping prepare you for upon graduation. So the first point that I want you to think about is the goal of writing. So when you're in a business environment and when you're in a military environment, your goal of writing, the only purpose you're writing is for mission accomplishment and to accomplish objectives. The difference within what you're going to find in an academic environment is that the goal of writing is to help you become a better communicator. And so there are some steps and some areas that we look for as your faculty to help you become a better thinker and to help you become a better writer, a more effective writer. So for example, within the military and in business, you're writing to accomplish this objective as quickly and efficiently as possible. And when you're in your academic classes, we're looking for your logic and rational thought development of your ideas. So sometimes this comes out when you're answering questions as maybe a 1 to 2 sentence or a 1 to 3 sentence reply to answer a question, because you're in that mindset of answering the question and giving the conclusion as quickly and efficiently as possible. But that's not the only thing. That's actually not the most important thing that your faculty is looking for. It's not really what we're looking for. We're looking for the reasons why and how you came to those conclusions, your critical thinking skills, and your logic and your rational thought development. And so that takes more time and it takes more effort to lay out those arguments and to do the research from different sources and integrate the background readings into your experience to support your conclusion. So your faculty member is not just looking for the answer. We're not just looking for the conclusion. We're looking for your reasons why, the thinking and the evidence behind it, and your logic and your rational thought development. The second area of that's a challenge or the difference between military and business writing versus academic writing is the process of writing. So when you're in a business environment or you're in a military environment, your superior would give you a command or an objective to write up a memo or write this up or write that up, do a report. You pass it off to your superior edits it, adds a couple things, passes it off to their superior, and before a decision is made, there's 2 or 3 hands that have touched this document. That's different than what you're going to find here and what your experience will be in an academic environment, because you are the single author of this document, of this assignment. So you have to go through the brainstorming. You have to go through the outlining and the editing and the drafting and the formatting, and all those things take time. And so you have to consider those elements when you develop your time management plan for these classes. The third key difference is voice. So if you haven't noticed, especially in the military, you're big on uniforms. I mean, you're dressing the same, you're often talking the same, and sometimes that comes out in your writing. That comes out in your writing. And so that causes some issues because it raises some concerns for academic integrity issues. So we want you to be aware of that. Your instructor will be looking for your independent understanding of these concepts. And so we're looking for you to paraphrase different ideas from a variety of different readings and background sources. We're looking for you to summarize some of these ideas in your own words. So quotations are great, but your instructor will care more about your understanding of these concepts. And that is different than stripping out a quotation and sticking it in your paper. It's fundamentally different, and it takes a lot more critical thinking and a lot more time and effort to summarize these different ideas in your own words and put them in. But that is what your instructor is looking for. And if you consider these things, you will reap the benefits of this program upon graduation, and I promise you will become a more effective communicator and contributor to your organizations. The next slide is just meant to give you a general overview of academic writing structure. And so this is not an all-inclusive slide. These are just some tips that as an instructor, I see students kind of missing these points. And so as a writer that you may not have as much experience in an academic environment, or maybe you've been out for a while, I hope that this gives you some direction to get the wheels going and build up that momentum early on. And so there are more resources, more in-depth resources like the ones that Michael mentioned within the Writing Center and our resources drop down. So please make use of that. But here I just want to frame your mind into what we're looking for in terms of structure and content. So there's basically going to be three main parts of your essay: the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. And so your introduction is kind of like any presentation you may give, like a PowerPoint presentation. You always have a first slide that tells your audience what you're going to be talking about and why it's important. And so that's your introduction paragraph. You're just going to be basically presenting an overview of what you're going to be talking about and why it's important. So I want you to think about this because there's an important statement in your introduction that your instructors look for, and it's called a thesis statement. Essentially, this tells your reader what the purpose is of your essay. And so a great way for you to know what your instructor is looking for is to look at the module learning outcomes. So every module, you have 4 modules. Every module will have learning outcomes on the home page. So every module will have learning outcomes for every assignment on the home page. That is basically what your instructor is looking for, and that is what your instructor will be looking for or measuring your understanding of those concepts. And those are great statements to put into your introduction paragraph, and to help ground you when you're answering these questions. So in addition to the learning outcomes, your assignments will have like 3 or 4 questions that you have to answer. Use those learning outcomes as like the lenses to view those questions. So address the learning outcomes through answering the questions. So consider that with your thesis statement development, and definitely make use of those module learning outcomes because they give you what your instructor is looking for on each assignment. From there, you got your body paragraphs. And so the best recommendations I could give you when you're first getting going in your writing is to break up those questions into sections and subsections using headers and subheaders. So just like on a PowerPoint presentation, you have headers that tell your reader or tell your audience what this slide is about. Same thing within your essay. Include a header, include subsections within that make it overtly obvious to your instructor that you are addressing this part of the assignment. This is the key term that you're going to be addressing. So not only does it provide some structure for you for your essay, but it also makes it very obvious for your instructor that you are hitting all those points within your assignment. And so again, going back to the content of your assignment? Is your instructor looking for the conclusion? Yeah, sure, we're looking for your answer to the question, but again, we're looking for the reasons why. And so when you draft your paragraphs, I kind of want you to think about aiming for about 4 to 7 sentences. Trust me, nobody's going to be counting your sentences out, but I think it's a good guideline for you, because if you're going below that 4-sentence mark, then you're probably being a little bit too brief or concise, and you're not exploring the topics or discussing the topics in detail. So make sure you're going back and citing some evidence from your background readings. Again, we're looking for APA citations and some evidence, some objective research and evidence to support your conclusions. And if you're going above that 7-sentence mark, then you're probably rambling on too much, or you could make that into a more concise structure to better highlight your ideas, or you just need to break up that longer paragraph into some more paragraphs, into maybe 2 or 3 paragraphs. But you don't want to go on and on a page and a half of text, of block text. You really want to break that up into small sections and subsections, include those headers, and make it really easy for your instructor to pick out those main points. If you're struggling, again, I talked about the thesis statements above, but if you're struggling in terms of how to start a paragraph and what your instructor is looking for, I always mention these points right here. Define the key term, explain the application of the key term to the assignment, and then discuss why the concept is important to either the module learning outcome or just the class in general, specifically and with specific focus to the module learning outcome. So those 3 points, I think if you cover those, that should get you to that 4 to 7 mark. Include some evidence in there to support your ideas, and that's a great way of just getting started. This is not going to be the perfect way. I can promise you that your instructor will give you feedback, but it's really important for you to take that feedback and then just continue to build upon it. Your instructor is not looking for perfection. In fact, you shouldn't expect that of your instructor. We're here to make you better communicators and better critical thinkers. That's our value. That's our objective. And so when you explore these concepts in a variety of different ways by defining and explaining and discussing the value of these concepts, you're in essence exploring these concepts from a variety of different ways, and you're thinking about them in different ways. So consider that when you're drafting up your assignments. And then the conclusion paragraph is the last part of your assignment, and it really just reflects, it's just kind of like a reflection of your introduction. Your introduction is telling your audience what you're going to be talking about, why it's important, and your conclusion is going to be basically stating what you already have talked about and why that's important. And so they're mirror images of each other. Again, this is not an all-inclusive, these are not all-inclusive suggestions. It's just simply to get the wheels going, and over time you're going to receive more detailed feedback from your instructor to become a better written communicator, a better writer. And so I just highly suggest that you accept that feedback, and with willing and open arms. So I hope that helps. Again, refer back to the resources under the writing resources under the resources tab if you need some more in-depth advice. Always reach out to your instructor, because we love hearing from you and we love to support you in this process. Honestly, it is our honor to serve you. So please make use of us.
Thank you, Dr. Delhiera. We also have resources to help students outside of the classroom. First, there's Alumni Fire, which is for all current students and Trident alumni. The URL is on your screen now. This is a place where you can connect with other students, alumni, faculty, and staff to get advice on your education, career, and more. For more information, reach out to alumni at trident.edu. We also have Career One Stop, which is a source for career skills development, such as resume reviews, interview practice, and more. This can be accessed on the front page of your student portal right after you log in. If you have any questions on that, reach out to Trident for careers at trident.edu. That's Trident, the number 4, careers at trident.edu. And now we're going to move Hey, welcome to the new session, everyone. Seems like we have some feedback in the background, which may have been me. And if it was, sorry about that. So a lot of great information. Love watching this presentation and each session because, it's filled with great information. And we have a few questions in already. And first one, I'm going to send this one to, start out with Joy. And that question for you is, when is the due date for my assignments? Are my different assignments due on different days, or is there one day where they're all due?
Oh.
Joy, looks like cannot hear you. Let's try to fix that right now. Okay, still can't hear you.
Oh, there we go. Can you hear me now?
Perfect.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So the question was about due dates for assignments, correct?
That is correct.
All right. So when it comes to threaded discussions, they're usually due on the Wednesday that the session starts, and then your case and SLP are due on the last day of the module.
I'll just kind of hop in here and kind of piggyback off of that from an instructor's perspective. So there are timeliness points for the discussion, as Joy mentioned. Typically, that's actually, you have until like the first week to submit your first post. We always advise you to get the wheels going. So you'll always hear us say, post by Wednesday, post by Wednesday. And there's good reason for that, because it's early on in the week, and it's during this stage, it's really critical that you build momentum. So post today, post on Monday. As far as the deadlines go, everything is due at the module deadline. And so for all of you, it'll be 2 weeks. If you're in the fast track, it's every 2 weeks, and all those deadlines are due on the same day, and they're posted within your TLC portal underneath a link called due dates, assignment due dates. So again, everything is due at the end of the module, but you have flexibility to post your discussions and to submit your assignments. So if you've completed your assignments early, then go ahead and submit those early. A common question that we get is, can we move ahead of modules? And the answer to that is yes. Again, flexibility is a really key part of the Trident experience. But if you are, then you need to make sure that you communicate this with your instructor so that you can get the feedback that you need to continue to build upon your assignments. On the other side of the spectrum, if you're falling behind and you're not going to meet the deadlines, then it's really important for you to work with your instructor again, so that they can be flexible with you. Again, there's not any excuse that's too honestly, there's probably nothing out there that we haven't heard before. So we're more than willing and able to work with you. We understand you're adult learners, you have a bunch of priorities, and during these first few stages, we understand that it's difficult to get into the pattern, especially if you've been out of school for a while. So if you need flexibility with due dates, let us know. Let your advisor know. Keep them posted on your progress, but especially keep your instructor as well posted, because we are the ones issuing the grade. Communicate with us, and we're happy to support you. So those are just some thoughts that came to mind with that question.
Great, thank you. And to build on that, if you go back to Tasha's portion of the presentation, she talked about establishing that pattern, establishing that rhythm, and it's imperative you do that early. You will set yourself up for success. Next question, Christina. What are the benefits of taking the orientation if it's not graded?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I'm one of the facilitators on the fast track orientation. So most of the students really enjoy the time in the orientation because it allows you the opportunity to like practice things before assignments are due. So being able to use the drop boxes, being able to connect with other new students who are coming in as well, and being able to, you know, learn about their journeys is pretty cool. So there's 3 different discussions in there. And then there's also an assignment. So I think overall it's just really intentional to help students that a lot of times for returning students who've been out a little while, and then especially we have a lot of like new students who've never taken classes online before. So definitely it'll save you a lot of time, that's for sure, just to get all the technology, you know, information, to be able to download Microsoft Office 365, the you know, Office and email. And so there's just like so many things in there that will help to make everything else run smoother. So it's definitely worth the time.
Great, thank you. And that was actually seconded by one of our, I believe, our newest student success advisors, Brett. He stated that it's such a valuable course. And I think that Dr. Delhiera, you had a further comment.
Yeah, again, this is, I mean, it always seems like everything we say is critically important, doesn't it? But this really is also a very valuable tool. Just know that as a new student, you're going to have this learning curve, and sometimes it's frustrating because you don't know where things are, or what, you know, the lay of the land. You know, you're new to this, or your friend told you this is how it goes, and all of a sudden it's not going that way. These are common transition issues that all students have. It doesn't matter if you're at a brick and mortar school and you don't know where the bathroom is, or if you're here at Trident University, you don't know where the drop box is or what's expected of you. But that orientation course helps you clear that learning curve much quicker. And there are, like Christina said, there are a ton of resources in that orientation that it exposes you to. A bunch of like really great policies that you should know, like extensions and how to communicate with your professors and expectations like that. In addition to practicing submitting assignments and discussions, how all those things work. These are all common issues. And Christina mentioned a really big one, which is downloading Microsoft Office. If you don't have Microsoft Office, go into the orientation, because Trident offers that to you for free. So in addition to all of the things that Christina said, highly recommend you hop into that course. You don't have to do the whole thing from beginning to end. You can pick and choose the things that interest you. It's asynchronous, there's no grade, so it's completely low stakes. You have everything to gain and nothing to lose. So I just want to, you know, put the exclamation point and emphasize how valuable that resource is, especially as you're transitioning into this critical stage of transition into school.
So Dr. Delhiera, next question is for you, and I don't keep records on this, but I'm pretty sure that this question has been asked at least once in each first day of class going back at least a year. And are we able to receive feedback for papers before submitting them for a grade?
Yes. So I would strongly encourage you to reach out to your instructor if you haven't heard back from them a couple of days after you've submitted the assignment. Every instructor has a different process of managing assignments. So if you're going to submit early and you want that feedback early, then go ahead and just shoot them an email, build that rapport with them, and just say, hey, just as an FYI, I submitted this. They'll know that you've submitted the assignment. But some instructors work differently than others. So if you haven't heard back, reach out to them. But yes, you can and you should be receiving feedback. Our goal for instructors are to submit assignment feedback 72 hours from the point that you submit the assignment. More than likely, you know, we strive to submit, you know, to return those earlier, but 72 hours after the time that you submit the assignment, at any point within the module or within the course, you should expect some feedback.
Okay, great. Thank you. Next question for you, Joy. I'm a little confused about what a student success advisor does in relation to the advisor I'm working with now. Can you talk about how you work with students?
Sure. Right now, you are working with your admissions advisor. And then once you transition over to your student success advisor, we're the ones here to support you throughout the rest of your program. We're here to, ask questions. If you have questions on navigating how to find something in your classroom, or if you need assistance communicating with your professor because you're not sure how to do so, we're here to do that. We also help with getting your transcripts, with doing your path to graduation, discussing if you have, what class you want to take next and how the classes work in sequence. We're here to just basically support you from beginning to end. Whatever questions you have, you can always just reach out to us. And if we're not 100% sure, or if it's not basically our wheelhouse, we can get you to the right wheelhouse. So we are here to help you and support you 100%. Plus be a cheerleader for you too, so.
Yeah, and from what I hear, Joy does an excellent job of doing that.
I try.
Next question. I'm going to go to Dr. Delhiera for this. Just received an assignment that states that my paper needs to be 2 to 3 pages long. Does this number include the cover page and references, or are those separate from the 2 to 3 page requirement?
Right, it does not include the 2 to 3 page requirement. Does not include the cover page or the references. So make sure those are on separate pages themselves, but the actual body of your assignment, meeting the expectations, answering the questions, that part is about 2 to 3 pages.
Okay, great, thanks. Yeah, and it seems like the student, there may be some confusion between that and the feedback or direction given by the professor. So what we'll do, we can reach out with you afterwards and make sure you're connected with the right people, so we can get all that confusion worked out for you, and kick things off in a positive way.
I would just recommend, I would go with whatever your instructor says. So, 2 to 3 pages, basically that is the cover page and the reference pages. So it would mean more, but anyways, I think go ahead and ask that question directly to your professor as well. I'm almost certain that it will not, that page requirement does not include cover page and reference pages. But go ahead and ask that question to your instructor. This is a great opportunity for you to build rapport with your instructor as well.
Good point there. Next question, Christina, I know it was mentioned before, but I missed it. Where can we find the Office 365 program, and how do we set it up?
Yeah, so that is a good question. It is sometimes the mystery. But I will say that, so the main thing is that you have to get access to the Trident email account. So you can only download it through the email account. And so most of the time when you've gotten started in your program here, is that you get your, when you initially start, you get your username and password that sets up your portal. Your portal is not necessarily linked, or, it's not necessarily linked to the Trident email account. So you still have to go in and set up the Trident email account. And so we do have website, like support websites, and even through the orientation that will show you where you need to go. I don't remember the exact module, but it is located under there. So mainly if you're able to get into the email account, then that's the main thing. There are other ways, there's more steps, but that's mainly the the route in is through there, is getting that set up first. So and we can provide links to it, I'm sure. So
yeah, I believe we do send out links to that, because this is another popular question, and I was just going to say this question's for anyone just but so we don't have a free-for-all. Joy, are there, for students who are having issues setting it up or may not be as, I guess, inclined when it comes to IT stuff, is there support for them?
Yes, there is. They can call Student One Stop or they can call tech support to help them, just depending on what they need help with. So if you need to reset your password on your email, you can reach out to Student One Stop, and they'll be the ones to help you with that. If you need to have questions with downloading Microsoft, sometimes we can help you. If not, tech support can certainly help you download your Microsoft Office or any other technical difficulties that you're having. You definitely want to reach out to tech support as soon as possible.
You could also do like submit a help desk ticket. So that's it's a great way so that we know how we track, what students needs basically. So yeah, I would say, and the SOS, they have a specific extension 1710. So or anytime you call in too, it'll, you can ask to talk to SOS and they can help with the email password reset. So, or your SSA, your success advisor, can also request it too. So try to make it as easy to do as possible so that you can get access.
And
Yeah.
Joy, Christina, is there email support at trident.edu? I'm not sure.
I think that's right. Is that right, Christina?
I want to say so too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Mm-hmm.
I've got it in my signature block, so let me know if I'm wrong. Support at trident.edu. Yeah, and then of course your advisors are there. If you ever run into issues, they would help out too.
For sure.
There's a really important point here that we've been talking about, which is the Trident email. It is critically important for you to either check your Trident email or set it up so that it forwards to your personal account. In a virtual environment, we can only speak with you through email, phone, or the classroom environment. We can't knock on your door. We can't see you around, know if you're gonna show up at class, one day or another. But if you haven't already, please forward your email to your personal account or get in the habit of checking your Trident email account regularly. I get it. When I was a student, I never checked my Trident my email account for any of my degrees, but it was a bad habit. Don't follow my ways. Please establish a routine of checking your email, because there's really valuable information outreach from your advisors and instructors all throughout your program.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah. Good advice.
I believe the orientation guides you through that as well.
It definitely does. So that's probably one of the easiest ways to find it, is going through the individual modules. And so it does say like how to give step-by-step instructions basically. So it's probably the easiest way to find it. Going to CSE 105 is the class for the orientation.
And another thing you haven't noticed is just do not be afraid to ask questions often, because I guess the only dumb question is the one not asked, and they've heard it before. And one thing I've noticed from the back end here, seeing comments, is that there oftentimes new students display a bit of a fear about asking questions, and also related that if you don't know who your advisor is or whatever, reach out to the email support at trident.edu, or even reach out to me and I'll direct you, because they should be working with you lockstep to help you towards your path to graduation. But that's all we have for questions today. Thank you so much, everyone in the audience, our panelists. And now I'm going to hand things off to Joy, and she's going to end today with a quick student success story. So Joy, the floor is yours.
Oh, thank you. All right, everybody, I wanted to introduce you to Daniel. He is actually a veteran here at Trident, and he's had some really great success here. But then the last couple of sessions, he's kind of kind of messed up a little bit, and I shouldn't say messed up, but kind of was off his normal submission time, his normal getting my homework done. He was just in a bad motorcycle accident and, you know, called me and was just a little frantic. And I told him, I said, just calm down. It's going to be okay. We were able to submit a course extension and he was able to pass his class. And today, I have to tell you that after all of that he's gone through with retiring from the military, he's a single dad, and now he's in school and his job is very demanding. I can say that he finished his last class yesterday, and I talked to him, matter of fact, this morning, and he's really excited. He can't wait for his grades to post because he wants to see how well he has done. But he's come a long way in a very short period of time. And I told him before, and I didn't tell him, I was remiss in telling him today, but I've told him before I was very privileged to be his student success advisor. And I am so proud of him that he was able to get to the end date and to cross that finish line. So as soon as grades post, he's gonna be a student graduate here at Trident. So thank you all for your attention. It's nice to meet you all, and way to go and welcome to the Trident family.